actually moving upwards. They're growing. They're getting taller. See that?
Because part of this is Asia, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Asia, and then
This
is India. So that's Asia at the top, right?
right.
China,
This is
okay,
Nepal.
and then
Uh,
India.
Bhutan and Nepal,
Hmm.
and all of that is the Himalayas.
The Himalayas.
Hmm.
So where are the Himalaya mountains?
What are they?
Yeah, are they that? Is that whole area them?
Yeah, that is
Oh,
all these little white spots here you see.
yeah, those are the mountains. Oh, I see Mount Everest. Okay, so it's just different mountains that make up the Himalayan mountains. So the Himalayas are mountains, and then
Right,
you have different. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it now. I've not known till today.
and then right there it just gets more and more insane. They're spread all over.
They look like they're covered with ice as well.
Hmm.
Are
So,
they?
so I mean, there's a lot of things that he was discussing over there, and there's a lot of factors to take into consideration as well. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
there's a lot of damage that's been done. Don't get me wrong, but it could have been a lot of things other than
Just one time, one tsunami, right?
yeah.
They
And
could
like
have been.
from this point on, where Kuwait is, all the way to right around in here, right right around to the well, I ain't even gonna go there. I'm gonna say up to Anatolia and where Lebanon is.
Hmm.
This was called the Fertile Crescent. Okay, this used to freaking have uh, a lot of vegetation, and it was very fertile land. As a matter of fact, wild lions used to run this area, and yeah, wild lions used to run this area, and it
And now it's desert.
and now it's desert, and there's no wild lions whatsoever. Lebanon, for thousands of years, was famous for the cedars of Lebanon. Countries, all these kingdoms would come from freaking every part of the freaking known world to Lebanon so that they could just buy their freaking wood. Alright, that's how famous the cedars of Lebanon were. And now they're nowhere. It's just barren.
Hmm.
And
It looks like a little bit of green.
the reason for it was is they were big on crops and everything, but they didn't know how to freaking properly use agriculture, and
What is
they depleted their
what is Cairo? I apologize. I see Cairo here. It looks like it has a lot of land.
yeah,
Is it green still?
yeah, right there. That's where the
Hmm.
outlet to the freaking Nile River is, dude. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I remember. That's the Nile right there
yeah.
going through
This is
there.
actually the Nile Delta.
The Delta. That's what it's called. The mouth of the Nile. I remember that
Yeah,
much. Yeah.
that's the Nile Delta. In Alexandria, where I was talking about,
Yeah, you
this
just was.
this is the city that was uh, built in dedication to Alexander the Great when he conquered Egypt.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you.
So, um, and this is where a lot of Hellenistic belief came from. This is where you get a lot of your Gnosticism. Um,
What's Gnosticism? Hold on, I'm about to look it up just in case. But what Hellenist? What is that? Lady
Hellen,
Helen. I heard of her.
Hellenism. Just spell out Helen and then put ISM at the end of it.
National character, culture of Greece, especially ancient Greece, Hellenism, imitation of Greek culture is what it is. And then can you Gnosticism? Gnosticism. Oh, it's a G. Ooh, blow your vocabulary. That's on the attention again. prominent radical movement of the second century. Christian church carried a pre-Christian origin. Gnostic doctrine taught that the world was created and ruled by a lesser divinity, the demiurge, and that Christ was an emissary of the remote supreme divine being. Esoteric knowledge, Gnostics of whom enabled the redemption of the sin. Hey, we gotta talk about this in history. Gnosticism. We should talk about this.
Yeah.
Really, or is that too much? And is it? Can we do that? Is the prehistory?
Gnosticism would actually be a better topic for what we're doing
Same.
now. Um,
Okay.
we could dive into that. I'd also like to talk more about Neoplatonism on here too, because there's a Neoplatonism. The Neoplatonists did a lot when it came to. Have you ever heard of the Great Year?
The Great Year. Can you explain it? I feel like I have, but I don't think so.
The elliptical year, where the Earth actually wobbles. Okay, and it's like have you ever seen a top spin?
Yeah, like a dreidel. Yeah.
Yeah, where it spins with that
Yeah,
little
I
wobble
understand.
on it. That's the Great Year.
Yeah, but no. Wait,
That,
the Great Year is an actual thing, and it means for what?
it's when the Earth wobbles
Oh,
instead
no, I've
of
never heard
rotating.
of it.
Well, it rotates too, but it's a wobble, and it takes a really long time for that rotation to make it completely around one time. And the ancients used to call it the Great Year.
But
And
that's just the Earth spinning on its axis,
yeah,
and it's called the Great Year.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
I didn't know that ever. Never ever heard that. No, or maybe if I heard it, I just wasn't paying attention because this is like high school. You're like elaborating on stuff I haven't even touched in
Oh,
high school,
I guarantee
and
you,
I
they
just
never even mentioned it to you in high school.
I'm not it at all.
I mean, I can almost guarantee you they never did. You know, um, it's just a lot of the stuff you don't learn in high school. Basically, is what I'm saying. Like they just don't.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. They don't go over the stuff that's like the facts. They teach you what they want you to know in order for them to emphasize a certain type of thing. And that's
Yeah,
something I've learned about a lot of stuff that you've been showing me.
yeah. That there's probably some good stuff that we need to get into. And you know, I don't have a problem with talking about freaking Atlantis, you know, but I mean,
It's not
just
enough facts.
yeah, and just understand that there's a lot of people who made a lot of money off of this freaking Atlantis scheme that they've come up
Concept.
with.
Hmm.
No, what they've come up with is a freaking scheme. I mean, point blank, pure and simple. It's you know what I mean. The actual Atlantis concept is pretty interesting, especially when you start thinking about stories about Lemuria and things like that. Okay, and continents that have sunken underneath the water and things of that nature. But people have made it into more, what they're doing that for is because they want to exploit people who are willing or who they can uh, deceive and
Easily influence and
yeah,
persuade. Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Now, I don't include Casey among that because Casey freaking he honestly believed what he said. He even has his own institute and they still do research trying to find Atlantis. So, but
So I just want to know: do you think that, or is it possible that there are other places that are accurate with documented proof? Like, because Plato was so renowned, I would just want like to understand where would this concept come from? If you know what I mean, like, is it possible maybe he was even referencing Lemur, and like not even if he wasn't referencing it, but you know what I mean? Maybe it's just like a cross between stories as opposed to all of them being
well, I
separate.
mean,
Maybe it's
it's like I said at the beginning. Okay, he only made one reference to it. I mean, and after he made that reference, it was never used in the ancient.
Everybody.
I mean, in the ancient world, nobody caught on to that and made a deal out of it. He was just making references to freaking, the state and the republic, because that's what he supported. Okay, he wanted a republic, and he wanted to emphasize how important it was for a state, and that was it. Um, but a lot of that kind of got uh, got conscried, especially during the Middle Ages. Um, uh, Francis Bacon, he wrote a book called New Atlantis. um, Francis Bacon and was big on. Well, he was pretty excited when the Americas were discovered. You know what I mean? So after all that, people during that time were very excited because they found a new world. A new continent, and their imaginations just went wild. So um, he did that, and there was other people that made stories concerning Atlantis, and we can go over that too later on at different times, because those
Looking
are
at these pictures, yeah, we're over time. But I just would like to tell you too, because I'm looking at these pictures. You know how they make the structures in like Washington D.C. and then Center City, England, Center City, London, and stuff. Like, look, this looks the same. It looks the exact same structure, especially when you're looking at Washington D.C. from bird's eye. Mine, like these circles. I'll have to find the documentary I was looking at that showed it. I'm gonna just make sure I'm telling the right thing and everything. I guess we going on no matter. This right here looks just like, and it is, and it's one, and then it's like 3 points. If you look at like the Vatican, the England, inner city England, inner city London, and then the inner city England, yeah, and
see
then Washington D.C.
this
It'd be 1, 2, 3.
that was also something I wanted to mention yesterday and go over, but I can actually bring it up now too, because it kind of fits in with it. But these obelisks, okay? Now,
Yes, I look.
a lot of people who are into freaking lost ancient civilizations, they've caught on to the concept of these obelisks. Now,
Mm.
going off on a tangent about the freaking Great Pyramids and all that stuff is fine, but the key is they need to really pay attention to these obelisks, because these obelisks were actually erected for a reason. Okay, people didn't just
And those
come.
were the ones we were looking at in Turkey, right? The
Right,
obelisk.
they're
Yeah.
all over Turkey. They're all over Egypt. Um, People were venerated because of their deeds, and obelisks were raised in their freaking honor, and they were raised to deity like statures. They were mortals that were deified into gods. Okay,
Hmm.
and
And these are the
Sennacherib,
things that God said. Yeah.
and Sennacherib, he went around and he interpreted all of these freaking writings off of the freaking sides of these freaking obelisks. Okay. The only sad part is all of his documents and everything were destroyed, and the only thing that remains of it is what Eusebius of Caesarea, or Eusebius, wrote about him in his argument against the pagans. You see, so
I'm just looking at the structures.
you have to take a Christian's viewpoint on when it comes to learning about these people. You just can't find the text and documents that follow up and tells you this is what he said.
Look at this.